Hey, everybody, we're back with the Leader Matters podcast, part three, where we teach Ellie leadership, my teenage daughter Ellie, and teaching through you guys. So hopefully, everybody's learning a little bit that can help themselves with leadership. These are all lessons that I learned the hard way in a lot of ways, Ellie, or I learned just by doing, and I really enjoy speaking them into existence. Ha 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 ha. So today we're talking about speaking it into existence. So part one, creating a vision. What even is a vision? Part two, making that vision bold and logical. Now you've got a vision. So you think about it. You came up with what you thought could happen. You want to be the leader of this company or this, you want to be a doctor, this doctor's office, you want to be a coach or an athletic director, a principal, the superintendent, whatever. You got an idea, you got a vision. Then you start saying, let's turn this thing, make sure it's realistic, make sure it's bold but logical. You start talking to people and seeing what it is. And now it's time to start speaking that vision into existence. Okay. So one time, I'll give you a little story. One time I was at the University of Georgia's coaching clinic. You're trying to go to the University of Georgia. So um, at the University of Georgia coaching clinic, this is years ago, Bill Belichick was there. And Bill Belichick was the coach of the Patriots that time, won the Super Bowl 6 times. You know who that is? Tom
Yeah.
Brady's coach, right? So Bill Belichick's there, and somebody asked, there people are asking questions. And I don't know if you know Bill, but he's not overly engaging. He's kind of boring, his monotone voice. And somebody asked the question, said, hey, I want to be an NFL coach. What do I need to do? And he said back, well, have you ever told anybody you want to be an NFL coach? And the way he said it maybe made some people think he was being rude, but he really was. Then he kind of went on about saying, look, a lot of people's problem is they never even said, how does the Falcons even know you want to help? Have you even told anybody that you wanted to one day be an NFL coach? Because if you haven't, what are you waiting for them to come knock on your door or call your phone and just offer you up a job? You've got to speak that into existence. And I thought it was actually really good advice. It was a roundabout way of doing it, but I thought it was really good advice from a guy that had won the Super Bowl 6 times, as a head coach. So sometimes the key is just saying you want to do it. So I like you doing this podcast. We got random people you've never met listening to you. I want them to hear you say you're trying to do better on the PSAT or you're trying to get into a good college, you're trying to be the valedictorian. It's okay to speak those things into existence. This is part of it. So it doesn't mean you're always going to do them. You actually may fail at some of those things, but it's important to speak things into existence. So, part of speaking things into existence, I'll give you a practical story and then we'll get going. But um, when I became the head coach at Chapel Hill High School before you were born, and they had never made the playoffs, and I gave everybody on the team a playoff bracket. So I'm going to the first meeting with this team. Okay. And I've never met these kids. They've never met me, but I've been hired as their coach. And I printed off a bunch of playoff brackets from 2007 playoff season, 2008, we're about to have. This is probably January 2008. I printed off the 2007 playoff bracket. I passed them out and said, look, guys, kind of sarcastically, I'm like, this is a playoff bracket. Chapel Hill never had a name on one, and we're going to change that. And I need you guys to buy into that. I need you to do what the things we have to do. We're going to have to work harder. We're going to have to do everything better to put our name on one of these brackets. I really didn't think much else about it. That was actually just something kind of cute to do at the first meeting.
Hmm.
But then as the season went on or the year went on, so January turned to March and April and June and all, I started seeing these kids, they were hanging those playoff brackets up in their locker. And they would talk about it every now and then. They talk about getting in a bracket, or you just start hearing things. And one of the one of the things I was the most proud of in my coach career is, that year, the very same year, the first year, we were in that playoff bracket. So and those kids were really proud of that. So speaking that into existence, just saying it out loud, I thought was the first step to that. And that's not what made it happen. A lot of work made it happen, but saying it out loud was the first step. So a good vision is worthless just in your head. Let me say it again. A good vision is worthless just in your head. You've got to articulate that vision to other people. So before we even get into more of this, what comes to mind when you first hear me talking about those things and speaking things into existence?
Well, I think, like, especially when it comes to being a leader, if you have a vision and you have something you want to do, if you can't like say it out loud and then you can't get people to help you and people to get on board and people to like you for people for you to lead. If you never like say that you want to do this or you're gonna do this.
Mhm.
Um,
It's just important to speak
like
something into
yeah,
existence. Yeah, go
yeah,
ahead.
for like if I've never said that I want to be valedictorian, then you wouldn't help me as
Mhm.
much with what classes I should take and what grades I should like what grades like help me with my grades and stuff. Um, so I like speaking it into existence is important to help you reach your goal.
And is it a guarantee that you'll be the valedictorian because you said you want to be?
No.
No, of course not. Like it wasn't a guarantee we were going to get in that playoff bracket by saying we were going to be. But I can about guarantee you if you don't say it, it's not going to happen. I can't
Mhm.
guarantee it will happen if you say it, but I can guarantee it won't happen if you don't. Speak things into existence, okay? It's a critical thing to just say things out loud, really aspires that vision and makes it real when people hear it. So, whatever your vision is, it's important to say it out loud. Don't be scared. Now, one of the caveats I'm going to give you is it okay to wait? Like, do you have to speak it immediately? No. You only get one chance to make a first impression. So did I have to tell those kids that day that we were getting in a playoff bracket and pass out brackets? I didn't have to do that. Like if I wasn't sure, I may should have waited. Okay. So um, I got a good story about that one too. And a guy, Dr. Thomas, who's our superintendent now, his very first day on the job of being the superintendent, um, we're having what's called a strategic plan group. But once every 5 years, the school system has to come up with a strategic plan for what they're going to do for the next 5 years. Dr. Thomas comes in on day one, and we're already in the middle of this meeting. So he has no idea what we've done, what we're about to do. He's really just starting. So he gets there, and the guy that's running the meeting is like, "Hey, Dr. Thomas, do you have anything you want to say?" And he just kind of letting everybody work because he doesn't even know anybody. He doesn't know me. He doesn't know anybody. So he just says, "Not at this time." He said, "No, not at this time." And I thought, now looking back, it's really good because there was nothing to say. He kind of got to know everybody. He let everybody work. And then a few weeks later, after a bunch of conversations, he said he wanted these three or four things to happen while he was superintendent, one of which is, every graduate be enrolled, enlisted, or employed, right? And
Mhm.
you have heard that at your school, right? Have you heard that phrase, enroll?
Yeah.
Have you heard it over and over and over again?
Mm.
Yeah. So Dr. Thomas brought that with him, but he didn't say it the first day because he wasn't sure. He started talking about people about what are some things we need, and we came up with a vision that really done a great job for our district. And you've seen it take place, you've seen it happen, but he didn't talk about it on the first time the first chance he got. You don't ever get a second chance to make a first impression, right? You've heard that.
Mhm.
And that's true for your vision too. You want to wait until you really know what's bold, what's logical, what can be attainable. And when you figure all that, sometimes that's in the first day and sometimes it's not. Then you attack it, and I thought that was a good thing by Dr. Thomas to wait there. So sometimes you do. So when do you know it's a good time? Is when you've reflected, when you formulated a clear plan, then it's time. Sometimes that's on day one, sometimes it's not. The last piece I'll tell you about speaking something into existence is what if it doesn't work initially, right? Like I've told you a lot of stories in this one, but so I told you that story about those kids at Chapel Hill, and we had those playoff brackets, and they put them in their locker, and we won the games, and we made the playoffs in year one, right?
Mhm.
So it only took 1 year. Beautiful. So, several years later, I become the football coach at Pickens High School. And in a similar playbook, Pickens had not been very good, but they had made the playoffs. So getting their name on a playoff bracket it wouldn't have been the first time for them. But what Pickens had not done is never won a playoff game. They never won in the playoffs. So I took a similar approach to the first meeting with them and told them about how we were going to get in the playoffs and we're going to win. And I think I even made reference to like, we're going to try to plan on Thanksgiving. You tell your mom, you know, Aunt Betty and whoever else, we're going to be busy on Thanksgiving because we're playing football. Well, actually, some of them for real came to try to talk to me. That's a whole story for another day. But some of them were like, "Hey, coach, we might be gone for that." It's like Let's worry about that if it really happens. Okay. It was just a lesson. But I did take that same approach. Like, here's what we're going to do, and we're going to do it right now. And well, it didn't work out as well. Now we made the playoffs 5 times in the first 5 years and didn't win in the playoffs. And the fifth time we did. So it took a lot longer to attain that goal. We got there. We got the team pretty good pretty quick, but we couldn't get over that hump. Played really good teams in the first round, kept not winning. And so sometimes just because you speak it into existence doesn't mean it happened immediately, but it also means you don't give up because we just kept talking about that goal. And we talked about getting into a 12th game and keep playing. And, eventually we did. And it wasn't that first year, but eventually we did. And so we kept that vision alive and eventually we're able to achieve it. So, what comes to mind when you hear those things that can apply to you when you want to be a future leader for speaking things into existence?
I mean, I think, like I said before, like if you don't speak it into existence, then it's kind of like it's not real, and
Mhm.
you're not going to be able to obtain that if you don't speak it into existence, and you're not going to be able to lead people if they don't know what you're leading them, like why you're leading them.
Yeah,
So I think that's really important in the future and stuff like that.
absolutely. And I think that the end is this. Keep in mind that, like I said, speaking it into existence isn't magic. It's not gonna it's not gonna replace any work. It's just another strategy to use to make your vision real. And it may take time. It's not guaranteed to work immediately, but the timetables, not always what you expect, but gather the information, speak something into existence, put yourself out there, have some courage to get to this vision. And I think that's it's a very powerful leadership lesson there. So um, I hope you're learning something, Ellie, and
Hmm.
we'll um, we'll see you next time. The next time we're going to talk about systems and how great leaders have great systems. So that'll be really exciting. Talk about Bill Walsh. That's one of my favorite coaches. So you have to learn about him. Um, Anything else you want to say to the people before we bid them adieu?
I think I'm good.
All right. There's some powerful words from Ellie. Tell them bye, Ellie. See you next time.
Bye.